Oh,
Hi,
yeah.
Karen. It's nice to see you today.
Hi, Anne Marie. So good to see you again.
So, I invited Karen to come and talk to me today because Karen actually was one of the very first women that was in one of my support groups about 4 years ago. And we recently reconnected again because she came to a workshop that I had and we started talking about the conference she came to. So I think it was in 2019, February of 2019. And Karen
Yes.
came to one of the conferences we were hosting here in Nashville for women who were coming out later in life. And so when we saw each other recently, she was just telling me about how meaningful that conference was to her. And I said, "Well, would you like to talk about it a little bit more with me?" And she graciously has agreed to do that. So Karen, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And thank you for asking me. Yeah, that was a really pivotal moment in my life because I was getting to meet other women like me who were struggling with coming out, middle age. I know the theme was coming out like later in life.
Right.
And I mean, we were of various ages, but still, it was something that it was comforting to be
Hmm.
around other people that have kind of been hidden. And that's, I guess, how I felt because I did, experiment with my sexuality in high school and college, but it was always something kind of shrouded in shame. And
Hmm.
so when I heard about your conference, I think I just had been Googling. I don't even know how I found you.
Well, I think you were in the small group and then we did the
Yeah,
conference. So you
that's
knew me,
right. That's
yeah, and
right.
then you knew me from that. And so
Yeah.
you found me because you were Googling, and my gosh, that was in the very early beginning. So my goodness, that was lucky you found me.
Yes, I know. Right.
So
That's so true.
like, what was some of the value you received from, the group experience? That let's talk about, yes, you were in the support groups, but let's really talk about the conferences because, as you know, we're having some upcoming retreats, and I know you would love to be there, but you are unable to make it. But
Yeah.
what did you receive from this group experience of being with a group of people who understand?
Well, first of all, the fact that you also came out later in life already put me at ease, and
Hmm.
knowing that you were the facilitator, instead of thinking, which, I've been to therapy, I go to a therapist and I feel like I have to reveal myself to a therapist, and I still kind of felt like I had to hold back, knowing that I could be at a conference with you who has, and plus you were very transparent about your story, on your website and from the groups, that I think I already felt comfortable with you, like friendly friends. So
Hmm.
that already helped me be at ease. So it's like that first hurdle of not feeling shy or embarrassed or being open to the kind of huge change that I had at the conference was already there, because I had gone to other women empowerment conferences for just
Other
business type
things.
of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's not the same at all. This is something that happens well, my experience of that conference was something changed for me on a spiritual level. And I
Hmm.
think it was like everything combined, meeting you who's comfortable. It was almost like I saw the future of what can be, maybe if I could say that,
Yeah, I think
you
that makes
know?
and also too, my wife helped co-facilitate that conference, and
Yes.
like she's like been out, as we both know, for a gazillion million years, and
Yeah.
she's even further along in that journey than I am. So you had
Mm.
somebody who was fairly newly out, but you also had somebody who's been out forever. So
That's true. And then the other women that joined as well, there was another couple that joined, and then another person joined us, also people that were in relationships and had been out. And again, there was no judgment there. It didn't
mhm,
matter how out and proud I was or wasn't, because I'll be honest, I still had a lot of shame and I still hid a lot of the stuff I was doing. So just to be around people that didn't make me feel bad, it's just where I was,
mhm.
that was that was huge. That was really huge.
Mhm. I'm so glad we could provide a place like that for you during that
Mm.
time. You had some goals at that conference, and it's such a really wonderful story. Would you mind sharing it right now? Because you had something coming up right after. So could you talk about
I
that a little
did.
bit? Yeah.
So, okay, so my profession is I'm an educator, I'm in academia, and there was a paper that I had been working on, which surprise is about like lesbians and LGBT issues. Even though, I'm like, I'm not gay.
Well,
So,
one of this, I should add that to my signs that you may be gay.
yes.
When you're researching lesbians for academic purposes.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I think kind of in the back of my head I knew, but
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, so at this conference, in my field, it's okay to add your own personal view at the end. So obviously, like I would talk about my research to this is a conference. So there's like thousands of people there. And so you like report your findings, talk about your subject, give like your theory. And then at the end, most people kind of put their viewpoint in it. So,
Mhm.
and that's one thing, the goal that I had made when I was with y'all, like at the conference, is that
Right.
I wanted to like come out. Like it was a safe space, and there was also a lot of people. And then, it was meaningful to me, but I also had people come up afterwards to talk to me and say like, "Oh, thank you for what you shared," or "Oh, I didn't know," like, your connection or your background. Like it meant a lot. Like it just was wonderful. I would not have done that or been able to do that if I hadn't gone to the conference. And
Mhm.
then that's why I'm saying like it was really like that is a huge turning point in my life. Like I will remember that forever. Like I always
Ah.
hear this, I'm serious. Like I always hear those stories of how like people go on this journey or they like go on, a hike somewhere and it changes their life and they come back a new person. That's kind of how I felt. And you
Mhm.
know what other thing really impacted me is, and I guess I know all conferences are different, but some of the exercises that we did, and there was one exercise where we were kind of like all in a circle. I hope this isn't like giving away
Oh,
anything that
no,
may or may
and
not
actually,
happen.
that's actually one of my favorite exercises. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. And so when we were able to like say something that we wish someone had said to us to another person, and then we like kind of went around and everything that I heard or said, like I felt like it was again chipping away all that shame and just
Mhm.
I just felt like I was like being given like this camaraderie, confidence, like it was just so wonderful.
Yeah. I was wondering what I hear from you and these two stories that you've told is that I think you felt seen for the first time
Mm,
in your life as Karen who's not straight. Like if you were seen by the people at the conference, you were seen by the facilitators, you were seen by the
mm,
other women at the conference, and there was no shame about it because everybody, like we've all been there, we all understood at a
mm,
really deep level. But then also too, you left the conference that we were having, and you were able to go and say, "Hey, I'm here, I'm queer." To an academic conference, and
yeah.
subsequently, which you didn't expect, it sounds like you people saw you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And you know what else I remember too is, and I think this is the beauty of going away to a conference because I mean, I've done the virtual Zoom conference with you and
Yeah,
it's
they're
so
different.
easy. I'm at
Yeah.
home and I'm comfy and I don't have to put shoes on. But actually going away to a location and then meeting other people that have gone away, like, so when like on our off time when we were kind of all socializing with each other, there was also something really nice about that. Um, kind of like just us talking about things, like really important things. Like somebody had shared like something really kind of deep, that had happened to her, and we all were there for her and were able to like comfort her. And another person like was sharing this. She was interested in writing novels, like lesbian lit or literature, and we were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that's hot. That's a good idea. We will buy your books if you write it." So, I mean, it was just like it was nice to be around other people and other different people, because there's all different ages and backgrounds and but yet we all have something that we had in common. Like that was really wonderful too.
Well, and I think that's really important when you go to something that is quote unquote LGBTQ, is that there's a camaraderie around
Mm,
people that understand what this experience is like. So whether the common denominator for probably 99% of LGBTQ people, they've had to come out at some, and sometimes it's really traumatic, sometimes it's not a big deal, but we've all
mhm,
had that experience of realizing that we're not heterosexual, and
mm,
like figuring out, okay, I'm not, how am I going to exist in the world that I
mm,
no longer identified as being as heterosexual. And there's a huge spectrum in the LGBTQ family, and being with our people is like what you said, a lot of times retreats and conferences, it's the off time, right? It's not when you're like
mm.
doing things and doing activities, it's the off time when we get to talk to each other and get to spend one-on-one time with people, like sitting in the hotel lobby or whatever. I mean, I think we did
Mm.
Airbnbs, but something like that. I think that's what's really important.
Yeah, and like everything you just named, I think that was the power of it not just being like one day, of it being a few days, is that it's almost like at least for me, I felt like it was like my testing ground to get to be the real me in all different types of experiences, like to get to practice being the real me, like in a group with me, like one on one, with sometimes we would talk one on one with you or Tonda, with one on one with just like in a casual way. So it was almost like kind of, getting my hand held as I'm like, it's okay to be you, just be you. And all along, like I've just kind of fell for that society trick, like, don't do this, or like my, misunderstanding of religion of like, oh, this is against like these rules, like all the things that were holding me back. It's like I got to actually live and experience what it's like to not have those limiting thoughts, and then at the same time get to see people living their best lives,
Right.
that are
Yeah.
already doing it. So it's like it's so real. It's not just me reading, because I've read a lot of self-help books, and I've
Yeah.
heard people, but to actually be there physically and do it in a safe space, like that's, I think, why I was able to come back and really like just throw it all out there.
Well, and you were brave and strong, and I really appreciate that about you. So Karen, if someone's thinking of coming to an event like this, a retreat, a
Mm.
conference, what would you tell them? What would you
I
tell
would
them?
say do it. It will change your life. Like I had to make arrangements, for a pet sitter, and I had to find somebody to cover like a couple days of my job. And I remember at the time I was like, is this worth it? And it's an investment, but it turned out to be worth it. Everything, every minute, every penny, all of it. Like, and I am not exaggerating at how that is something I will remember for the rest of my life. And I'm just so grateful for the work that you do, Anne Marie, because and
Oh.
that I found you on the internet, because I don't know, I would probably still be quietly, just
Quietly
dragging through
gay.
life.
Yeah.
Yes, and, never really feeling like I'm allowed to feel truly in love with like and attracted to other women, and being just still stuck in shame. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Well,
worth every penny. It's worth every minute. So go.
well, thank you, honey. Karen, thank you so much. This has been really wonderful listening to you, and it makes it feel all worthwhile for me when I hear someone talk so positively about the things that I've created by myself, but with a lot of other women as well. And so thank you so much, and thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.